We've had to wait a little while to get our hands on our Nokia 5.3 device, but how does it stack up in a sea of affordable Android devices at just $200? Well, we're going to find out in our review. Thanks for watching 9 to 5 Google on YouTube. Remember to thumbs up, hit subscribe and enable notifications with the bell icon to be among the first to watch our upcoming videos. The follow-up to the Nokia 5.1, as HMD Global decided to skip the 5.2 for some reason, you can almost taste the Nokia DNA just from a quick glance at this device. With the lines blurring between the budget and mid-range segments more heavily thanks to the introduction of the iPhone SE, buyers will be looking for even more bang for their buck than ever before. Of course, the design is pretty much a by the numbers affair with the Nokia 5.3, but it does somewhat resemble the OnePlus 7T to an extent. Of course, that's no bad thing, as the OnePlus 7T is a really nice looking handset. That means while the design is simple, it definitely adheres to the tried and tested Nordic design formula that has worked in recent years for the Finnish brand. What I mean by that is that you would not confuse the Nokia 5.3 for anything other than a Nokia device, as it's intrinsically linked to other previously released HMD Global hardware. It's really well made, it has a solid feel in the palm, the curves are soft, but there is enough of an edge to give you a good grip when clasping tightly, while also being more comfortable than previous boxy designs thanks to their soft corners. I found this especially important as the polycarbonate back was especially slippery at times when worn without a case. I think a case might be useful though, as I found reaching for the fingerprint scanner at the rear a little bit precarious at times, and I say that as having larger hands, so it isn't much of a problem on my end, it's just something to note. The fingerprint scanner at the rear is one addition that I found to be a major frustration though. The registration process was pretty painless, but even after registering my index finger a few times, it would often just not recognise it. I stuck to using a pin after that, after frustrations did eventually boil over. Other hardware extras include the headphone port, which is still prolonging its own lifespan on many sub $500 smartphones. If you believe that Bluetooth buds are taking over, then it's always an oddity to see them on even the cheapest hardware. Like the Nokia 7.2, there is also a breathing notification LED hidden within the power button too. I think it's a pretty nice solution to the disappearing notification LED, but it is very easy to forget about. The 6.55-inch HD Plus display is pretty much okay. It's actually a smidgen over 720p with a 720 by 1600 resolution, but it is a decent enough IPS LCD screen. Coming from higher resolution displays, it does feel quite a step back, but overall it is decent enough given the pricing. Text looks sharp enough for a daily usage. It's about the very limit though for acceptable quality at 268 ppi. That said, I've really fallen in love with the 20:9 aspect ratio, as for smartphones this is great for widescreen video content. It's just easy to consume when the aspect ratios are so closely matched. There is a sizable chin at the bottom which still retains the garish Nokia logo. This would be so much cleaner without, but it actually makes the 5.3 feel even cheaper than it is. There is also a teardrop notch up top, which plays host to an 8-megapixel selfie camera, so there isn't too much of a forehead, all things considered. In terms of performance, I didn't go in with lofty expectations from the Nokia 5.3, which is something I suggest everyone adheres to when picking it up. Android One though is still the best way to experience Android on low-end or modest hardware in my opinion. It's still weird having what amounts to the Pixel experience on something that looks nothing like a Pixel in any form. There are some notable exclusions though, but for the most part you get a true taste of Android 10 on the Nokia 5.3. Getting software updates in good time is also something I forgot about, but my review unit notified me of the May 2020 security patch shortly after powering on for the first time. This is something that I think really differentiates a Nokia 5.3 from the likes of the Galaxy A series and might be a core selling point. I've only noticed some very minor slowdowns here and there when trying to do tons of things at once, but I was pleasantly surprised at how snappy most tasks and interactions feel. Android 10's gestures never skipped a beat though, ensuring that I always felt in full control of this smartphone. And it can run almost anything I can throw at it without hesitation, and should improve as Android improves in the coming years too, as you should get 2 full upgrades to come, which is always another bonus on top of that. In terms of battery, I've never really had to worry about the lifespan when using the Nokia 5.3, even with heavy usage. It powers through a day with absolutely no problems at all. Part of that is likely due to the 4000 mAh cell packed inside, but the low resolution display will also no doubt play a part too. During my review period, I've often gone a couple of days in between full charges, and that is even with some heavy usage for long periods during some of those days. I imagine that sporadic users could probably push it to the cusp of 3 days in between charges too, with no problems. The quad camera setup at the rear of the Nokia 5.3 has pleasantly surprised me across the board too. Firstly, and most strikingly, it will instantly remind you of a certain Captain America thanks to that shield-like layout of the circular camera array. Movie prop likeness aside, the standard 13 megapixel shots are decent given the hardware here. Dynamic range is very good, and the natural focus fall-off actually impressed me quite a lot. I do wish though that we had a telephoto zoom lens here, as the ultra-wide fails to impress. Images get substantially softer, with artifacts and focus being issues at the fringes of the frame when taking wider images. There is also a dedicated night mode included with the Nokia 5.3, and I was excited to see what it could do, but ended up being sorely disappointed. It really doesn't do a great job without a little extra help, although I was unable to give it a thorough test due to the current COVID-19 situation. I imagine the quality takes a huge step up with street lighting and neon signage. Just testing in pitch black rooms showcased a weakness that many camera systems tend to have anyway. I do also find the Nokia camera app a little bit utilitarian when the rest of the software experience is so impressive. The camera UI feels a little left in the past. It's not to the detriment of usability though. Everything is well organised and easy to find. It's just a little uninviting from the very outset. So all in all, at $199, it is hard to truly fault the Nokia 5.3. You'll get at least 2 full OS upgrades, a decent camera, reasonably good performance, and a build that is impressive at this price point. It's sensibly priced, and that gives you a heck of a lot for your lower entry cost. What's odd though is that the Nokia 5.3 actually has ever so slightly better internals than the Nokia 7.2, which makes it a better buy from a sheer performance perspective. You do get a poorer display, but with a chipset that is a generation newer, you might get better long-term performance for your money. For an elderly relative, a backup smartphone, or for someone's first smartphone, then I think the Nokia 5.3 really is an excellent choice. That said, if you have any questions, pop them down below. But until next time, this is Damien with 95 Google saying thanks for watching, and I will speak to you later.